Welcome to this video about the rules to Custer's Last Stand 150-year commemoration, a solitaire game that I designed. A couple of things. The rules as written assume basically a box version, so they refer to these wooden discs. So keep in mind when I'm talking about the components, I'm talking about the prototype pieces. If a publisher is found, it's possible that these would not be wooden pieces, and they may not include stickers, but the rules, the rules as written suggest that they are. So the different sections of the rules, some of them I'm not going to include in this video, but if you're interested after watching this in plain, be aware that there is a Facebook group. You'd have to be a member of Facebook, but you could join Steve's Game Design Diary, and that gives you access to a Vassal module and then the PDF files that make up some of what you're seeing now. There's also one of the player's aid includes these pieces that can be cut out and replace the wooden pieces that you're seeing that I'm using. But also the player aid has the turn track, the cohesion track, the player's aid for firing, this consolidation of a bunch of tables that are also appear in the rules, but they're handy all on one page, and I just taped them all together for doing these videos. I will plan on doing some basically playthroughs of the game, and going forward, since this video will explain more of the rules, I won't do what I did in the past and spend as much time talking about the rules while playing the game. And I can just move, and I might hint at a couple things, but that should shorten those videos going forward. So the first section of the rules just is an introduction, talks about the battle. The next section talks about the game board, points out that some of the numbered spaces have defensive values, like Reno Hill, -2d6. If the Indians are firing on cavalry in this spot, they'll roll 2 less dice than they would normally. And then we have, points out, there's the village and some of the other areas on the map. And then it goes into section 3 is a list of the game components, which I'll just read real quick and point to. There's the leader counters, the unit discs, there's the stickers. Now that refers to these initials. So this disc is some number of Braves plus Crazy Horse, the personality, and then this is if there's still Braves, but Crazy Horse himself has died. So there's the X through it. And likewise, there's versions for the 7th Cavalry, same thing. So continuing with components, we've got dice. There's nothing different about nothing unique about the black die. It's just a convenient way for me to grab 5 for normal or add a 6th die for charging, where you get the extra die roll. The villager units are made up of the orange disc, the cohesion level cubes, track that on this little chart up here, exhaustion cubes, yellow, a turn indicator marker, Custer's luck token. The game recommends that you play with 3, but you can decide to play between 0 up to 5. Then there's the shooting, the player's aid for firing results. It's kind of just to organize your locked 4s, your pairs of 5s and 6s, and pairs 3s, 2s, 1s that are also bad for the attacker. Then section 4 is the one-time game preparation, which really just talks about putting the stickers on the disc. Then we have the game setup. So says put the game board in the center of the thing, you add these tokens, and pretty much this has been set up. Now there's a couple things that we haven't done. There's a table that refers to 2 moons being here, and then Custer, Yates, Reno, and Benteen, and all the other Indians are waiting to be activated. Then we place a forward, always a revealed forward just for consistency. That's always there. Then you'll take one forward, one dummy counter. These get scrambled up and then they're placed at position A. So there's a 50-50 chance of, on your first turn, drawing the forward when somebody from the 7th Cavalry sends out scouts, if you will, to search for a crossing. If they find the dummy counter, then it's going to take a second action, a second searching for forwards to reveal the face down forward and then allow crossing. The Indians can always cross the rivers without regard to whether a ford has been found or not. Then the last thing to prepare after this one, which is always has a 50, one of each, is you take the 2 remaining fords and these 8 dummy counters, and these get all shuffled, and then they're going to be, without looking, placed in a pair, 2 at this spot, 2 at this spot, and 2 at this spot, and without looking, 4 of them are returned to the game box. So in this case, we can, because we did peek, we know that both fords are here somewhere. But where are they? Are there 2 here? Is there 1 in 2 different? Anyway, but there's no guarantee that when you're playing the game, the 7th Cavalry will actually be able to cross here. They may never find a ford even though they turn them and reveal them. Also, it's kind of important point is, if, say, Custer was here and he scouts and turns this over as a dummy, as a forward counter, he doesn't peek at the second one. He just returns it to the box. So if for some reason they're forced to search for fords at other places, they don't know whether or not the second ford was really also in that location. You find one and it happens to be the top one, you just discard the other one. Okay, so then let's see. The continuation of the game setup is setting up the cohesion track. You put the cubes on here, always on level 10 for everyone. These can never be past 10, nor can they ever be less than 1. And then we're getting close to the end of setup. So if you were using a cup, these would all be dumped in except Reno. If you're just going to, and Sitting Bull is always left out of the first turn's chip pool. So the other ones would either be face down or in a cup, all mixed up. So on turn 1 of the game, Reno is always going to do his moving and firing. Sitting Bull can't even come out, and then the other ones will be determined in the order that you pull them. Okay, so now we go into section 6, sequence of play. The game is comprised of this randomly pulling these leaders over. Then the next thing is you have an optional regrouping action. If it turns out that a unit is already exhausted, indicated by this exhaustion cube, then you can't do anything except the regrouping action. That would look something like this. You just, let's say Benteen was exhausted. Well, I've got him on Yates. So if Yates was exhausted and he does the regrouping, you move this 1, 2, 3, and then we'll cover this in more detail, but that's the regrouping action happens there. You can also regroup even if you aren't exhausted already. So if Benteen were, I'm sorry, let me put this on Ben. So if Benteen were here and decides that he just wants to do the regrouping action, he would go back all the way up to level 10. Now you only check for exhaustion when you dip down behind this line that separates the level 5 to 6. Let's see. So then finally, after we've gone through all of these, we're going to do the cleanup action, which is returning Reno and starting on turn 2, Sitting Bull into this. Now it's important that at the beginning of the turn, you actually check to see whether or not the Indians have, if there are any that have not yet activated. And if that's the case, then the turn 1, 2, 3, or 4 will end as soon as all of the cavalry leaders have been flipped up. So as an example, let's say it's turn 1. Well, all the Indians haven't activated, so turn could end early. If I flip Custer, Gates, and Ben team, boom, 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 turn 1 ends, and none of the Indians will have even had a chance to come on the board. Okay, then you would advance the turn to the next turn on the track, and we will stop there, and I will go begin another video at section 7, winning the game.